Hey folks, it's a sad day when your trusty system, the Mega Drive X, conks out on you. I've been having problems with this for quite some time. First, the cartridge slot stopped working, but the built-in games work just fine. However, I tried cleaning the cartridge slot. I probably should have just, waited to order a replacement cartridge slot or taken one from a donor board, that being my Ad Games Genesis clone, and swap it out with that. But I tried cleaning it with the isopropyl alcohol, and unfortunately I spilled some isopropyl alcohol that is, on the board, and now it doesn't even power on anymore. All it does is nothing. If you use the official charger that comes with it, nothing happens, but if you try using a Genesis or Mega Drive AC adapter with this, it starts smoking. And I'll probably show that in another video. I'll probably get this fixed one way or another, or I'll probably make my money out of it at a profit. Mega Drive X's, be careful with them. If your cartridge slot goes bad, you should either clean it properly or replace it altogether. The cartridge slot, that is. But as of now, I'm just going to set this to the side. However, I do have another system to play my Genesis games, and that is my trusty Model 1 Sega Genesis. This is not the same Genesis that was featured in an older video. This is a earlier model. It's not the earliest model, but it's a earlier model that came out around the time Sonic 1 was coming out or already out. By the time Sonic 2 was out, they probably switched over to the late model Genesis. The easy way to tell from these somewhat later Genesis is there's no high definition graphics here on the top. Very early ones have high definition graphics on here. Of course, everything else is the same. The Genesis logo, the 16-bit, the power, the power switch, the reset, the headphone slider, headphone jack, controller ports, expansion slot for the Sega CD, which I'm not gonna get a Sega CD unless I can find one for a good deal that actually works or is an easy fix. If anyone wants to private message me on a deal on Sega CDs, private message me and we'll talk about price negotiating. On the back here, here's where to tell the difference between an early, mid model like this one, and a late model. When I did a review on the Model 1 Genesis, I had a late model Genesis at that time I bought from a retro game store. This is the earlier one because there's a blank spot right there. Very early ones have an extension port right here. You can solder the port right here. The traces are there. But they took that off because not many people were using it, or it was only released in Japan. So most people who use this blank spot either use one of two or three things. They either use composite jacks here, they either use the region switch, which I'll get into in a moment, or something else on here. Over here you got your channel 3 and 4, your RF out, your AV out, and your AC adapter. On later ones, all these were shifted to the left. This would be where the channel switch, RF out, AV, AC adapter, and the blank spot would be over there on later models. I don't have that model anymore because I sold it for money to get this earlier model. And something I need to tell you, Model 1 Genesis and Mega Drives are easy to mod. Even the late model Genesis is actually somewhat easy to do. Slightly tricky, but it's really hard on Model 2 Genesis. And you don't need a mod Model 3 because those actually play Mega Drive games. I sold my Model 3 Genesis to a friend. He has this Sailor Moon game, and he tested it on that, and it works perfectly on his Genesis 3. So, thought I'd let you know. If you were to mod a Genesis or a Mega Drive, here's what you need to know. You take out the 6 screws on the bottom, you hinge this towards the front because the LED is attached to the top right there. And you take off the RF shielding. Unless you have a Mega Drive Japanese model, then you just take the screws off around the board. You look at the 4 jumpers, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but on the late ones you have 1 and 2 right around here, I believe. Don't bother with 3 and 4 unless you have a 50 Hz Mega Drive from Europe or in the PAL region. If you have an American one, just focus on jumpers 1 and 2. If you have a Mega Drive, you want to cut jumper 1. If you have a American Genesis, cut jumper 2. because those are the traces that are connected to it. Jumper 1 is for Japanese, Jumper 2 is for English, Jumper 3 is for PAL, 50 Hertz, and Jumper 4 is English, Japanese, and American 60 Hertz. What you want to do is you cut a trace on Jumper 1 or 2, solder a wire connected to one of the two traces on the board, and then another one underneath it, and one of the two ground for the middle of the switch. You can get different types of switches. You can get toggle switches, you could get little switches, or you can get boat rocker switches. I'm probably going to go with the boat rocker switches because I think they look cool, and even if you make a mistake on cutting, you can hide it because they have little springs that snap into the position. So, as Retro Game Tech mentioned in this video, that's what he used on his Mega Drive, his earlier model. His later one, which he sold for cash, he used the old slider switches, but I think the boat rocker ones are the way to go because they look really cool and they look more aesthetic to the system. Other than that, yeah, I'm not too upset over my Mega Drive X. I still have a Genesis, and I still have the accessories that go to it. I mean, I have the cables that go to it. I've got the AC adapter, which I use this not only for my Genesis, I also use it for my Master System, which I still need to get games for. I also use it for my Japanese Super Famicom. I also use it for my AB Famicom. This thing is great powering Japanese Nintendo systems. Don't use an American NES for a Japanese Famicom or Super Famicom, or you're going to fry your AC adapter or your console. I also still have the mono AV cables, although if you want you can actually hack a video cable and get it to work with your console. I'll have a link to the description of that video if you're interested in that sort of video. It's made by Sinister Moon. It's worth checking out. And to get stereo out of your TV, you want to get this kind of cable, which has this end, as you can see, and then you follow all the way to the end. This is a really long cable, I should mention. This part which goes into your TV. That way you have stereo coming out of your system. You could mod it to have stereo out of the system, but if you want to save time and money, get one of these cables. And I have a controller, of course. I still have the Mega Drive X controllers, so those I'm going to keep at least one of the two, because these work just fine. I tested this on an actual Genesis. They're actually very nice in the hand. I like how the mode button feels. It's very nice. Although, to be fair, my personal favorite Genesis Mega Drive controller I own is the Hyperkin 6-button controller. I don't have any 3-button controllers anymore. I bundled them with Genesis that I sold. I had a Model 2 and a Model 3 that I bundled with them. So this is my main Genesis controller that I use. It's a 6-button. This actually feels like an actual Sega 6-button controller. I did have a Sega 6-button controller, but the cord got frayed and I sold it for parts, or gave it away to someone, and it was bothering me. But other than that, if you're after a 6-button controller, Hyperkin's a good one to go for. I'd say get several of them in case one goes bad. Then you can use it for parts, and yeah. I'm very happy with this 6-button controller. It feels like actual Sega controller. I've actually tested both of them side by side, and this actually works very, very well. In fact, it actually has a decent amount of cable to where I'm sitting. So if you're after a 6-button and you don't want to get a actual Sega 6-button, Hyperkin's a good brand. But I would recommend getting more than one, and be careful who you buy it from. So, other than that, thanks for watching. This is FreakRock2001 saying, hopefully this system will have better luck when I try modding it. Or I'll probably go after a Model 1 Genesis that's already been modified to play Japanese games. I'll check eBay and see what they have, or Mercari, or places like that. Other than that, thanks for watching.